quite honest. It's a very humbling experience to be where I'm standing. And I think the nature of the assembly of people here will illustrate just how popular, remarkable this young lady was. Okay. So I'm going to have some opening remarks, and then we'll have some speakers. You all have, I'm sure you have a program that you can follow, and then we'll go through that. I normally don't script what I say. I normally have some cards and speak, but I wanted to make sure that I did not miss anything about this tremendous young lady that I've gotten to know in the last 4 years. So if I bend my head a little bit too much and read a little too much, I apologize for that at this point. Lanie was a remarkable young lady. Quite honestly, she was just, in my situation, I just called her Lanie. Lanie just stood for it was an instant visual of a smart, poised, remarkable young woman. She's the youngest daughter of Patty Kruszewski and Reggie Kruszewski. Her 2 older sisters, Leah and Jackie. A special someone in her life was Daniel Pritchett and his son Jackson. Patty has done a remarkable job of raising and nurturing these 3 terrific young women. We are now going to honor Lanie with our thoughts and our words. Okay? Our first reading and remarks that have come from Lanie's friends are by Ty, and he's going to read a passage from Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. Ty?
Before I ever met Lanie, I liked her. She had sent a resume to Maggie, and just for her email address, Squash Whisperer had gotten her the job before she ever showed up to the interview. She was an amazing person, millions of interests, did a million things, carried on a conversation about anything. She had all my favorite qualities in a person. She was funny, she was incredibly smart, genuinely caring. And she had my favorite quality of all in a person. She was an incredible wise ass. It really was a talent. She even gave me a run for my money. Lanie had introduced me to one of my favorite, if not now my favorite books, and incredible work of heartbreaking work of staggering genius. I'm sure she lent it to you guys or suggested it to many of you. I'd like to read an excerpt from it. This is her copy, and she highlighted this herself. Oh, please let me show this to millions. Let me be the lattice, the center of the lattice. Let me be the conduit. There are all these hearts and mine is strong. And if there are capillaries that bring blood to millions. That we are all of one body, that I am. Oh, I want to be the heart-pumping life to everyone. Life is what I know. I feel so warm within life, can swim within life. Oh, let me be the strong beating heart that brings life to everyone. I want. Lanie was a great friend. When you part from a friend, you grieve not. For that which you love most in them may be clearer in their absence, as the mountain to a climber is clearer from the plain. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. As noted in the program, Lanie's basketball teammates will now come up.
Kruszewski family, and maybe many of you know us as the basketball girls, or at least some of them. And Lanie's favorite stories, her favorite films and books were always about adventures and heroes, and I think that's because she lived her life with so much courage and with such a sense of adventure. And most of you know that her absolute favorite adventure was the Harry Potter series. So we thought it would be fitting to read from Harry Potter briefly, and also to allow Lanie to express herself in her own words through a letter that she wrote to us. So this is from the Chamber of Secrets. Voldemort put a bit of himself in me, Harry said, thunderstruck. It certainly seems so. So I should be in Slytherin, Harry said, looking desperately into Dumbledore's face. The Sorting Hat could see Slytherin's power in me, and it put you in Gryffindor, said Dumbledore calmly. Listen to me, Harry. You happen to have many qualities that Salazar Slytherin prides in his hand-picked students. His own very rare gift, parsimony, resourcefulness, determination, a certain disregard for rules. He's added, his mustache quivering again. Yet the Sorting Hat placed you in Gryffindor. You know why that was. Think. It only put me in Gryffindor, said Harry in a defeated voice, because I asked not to go in Slytherin. Exactly, said Dumbledore, beaming once more, which makes you very different from Tom Riddle. It is our choices, Harry, that show us what we truly are, far more than our abilities.
And I'm reading from the first book of the Harry Potter series. And I think this is something that Lanie would want to remind us all of. So, said Dumbledore, slipping off the desk to sit on the floor with Harry, you, like hundreds before you, have discovered the delights of the Mirror of Erised. I didn't know it was called that, sir. But I expect you've realized by now what it does. It shows me my family. Now, said Dumbledore gently, can you think what the Mirror of Erised shows us all? Harry shook his head. Let me explain. The happiest man on earth would be able to use the mirror like a normal mirror. That is, he would look into it and see himself exactly as he is. Does that help? Harry thought. Then he said slowly, it shows us what we want, whatever we want. Yes and no, said Dumbledore quietly. It shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. You, who have never known your family, see them standing around you. Ronald Weasley, who has always been overshadowed by his brothers, sees himself standing alone, the best of all of them. However, this mirror will give us neither knowledge nor truth. Men have wasted away before it, entranced by what they have seen, or been driven mad, not knowing if what it shows is real or even possible. The mirror will be moved to a new home tomorrow, Harry, and I ask you not to go looking for it again. If you ever do run across it, you will now be prepared. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Remember that.
As many of you know, Lanie was a kid at heart. She loved playing Nintendo and building forts, and she was always up for any adventure. She carried that playful enthusiasm over to the more serious aspects of her life. I'm going to read a quote that Lanie wrote in an email describing her internship with Brain Food during the summer of 2010. For those of you that don't know, Brain Food is an organization that teaches high school students basic cooking skills, practical nutrition, and sustainable ways of living, right up Lanie's alley. Today was a special and especially stressful day because it was my turn to conduct a workshop. I got to choose the topic of my workshop, the recipes, the message, everything. I chose the social value of food, and we talked about how great it is to eat with people. I got the kids to brainstorm in groups what and how they eat alone, as well as what and how they eat when they're with others. Then we compared and contrasted and talked about why eating with others is not only more fun, but also more nutritious much of the time. I was nervous about it being too abstract and too cheesy for them, but they were literally the quietest and most engaged that we had ever seen them. They prepared 7 recipes today. We usually do only 3 in a day, and set up a big table that we ate around for 45 minutes. Usually they eat standing up in the kitchen for 5 minutes, or 15. And they laughed, and they talked and joked with one another, and I literally melted with relief. Then, I bought myself some bacon on the way home as a reward. And on that note, I'm going to go chop some stuff. I love you all, Lanie.
Thank you, ladies. Our third speaker will be field hockey coach, Paige Altman.
Cap's running away. I didn't even blow my whistle. I don't know. Before I start, I actually wrote something down too. Wow. Everybody that, maybe you're saying, why didn't she dress up? But, because I always dress up, and I thought I wouldn't today because Lanie wouldn't want me any other way. But, hey, the field hockey girls, whether they're old or new or young, or had Lanie in our field hockey camp the last 2 summers, or just plain out love Lanie and want to share in the moment, are in these white t-shirts, and they actually, if you're sitting in the audience, because I guess the one standing, we know who you are, but if you're old, you're not old, but if you're old field hockey person, can you stand up? That's you too, Jackie. Someone said yesterday, Hawkins, you'll never get rid of us, so I appreciate that. Love that girl. So I'm just going to read sometimes, and sometimes I might throw a joke if I have one, but I never have those. Anyway, thank you. Good afternoon, family and friends, and for those of you who have not been here to the Maggie Walker Governor School, welcome to the home of the Dragons. Obviously, my name's Paige, and I'm the field hockey coach here at the Governor School, and I still love this place from the first day I came here. Thank you, Patty, Leah, and Jackie for asking me to speak today. It's an honor, might be a small word, but it means a lot. She meant a lot, and thanks for giving me a chance to talk about my girl, Lanie K. I am going to start with a little bit of a humorous story, and Patty can attest to it. But we had a security guard here when Lanie was a sophomore, and he was kind of scared of the dark. And we had back to school night. You know, with that, you come back and you travel on your student's schedule, and Lanie's like, "Done that, Mom. I'll just hang out or something." And so there's this huge, loud noise coming from the field hockey field. Sounds like gunshots and maybe even fireworks going off on the field. So our security guard, nameless, called the other security guard and said, "Something's going on in the field. It's really loud. Somebody's shooting somebody. We have all these people here for back to school night. I need help. Backup. Can you call 911? So they call 911. The cops show up. They shine the lights on the field. And it's Lanie hitting about 50 hockey balls into the cage. So, getting ready for the season because it's in September. So hopefully that sets a stage of what kind of gifted athlete, gifted person all the way around. I guess, Ty, I'm sorry I haven't met you, but I heard about you. And wow, you're special too. From what she told me. And yeah, I did enjoy her sarcasm as much as you. I'm not sure as quick as you, but I tried. I looked up the word leader because I think when the the Times or someone, Patty said, Paige, you want to talk to the Times, which I'm so great at talking to people in the newspaper. And I said, sure, I want to talk about Lanie any chance I can get. So I looked up the word leader, and it says one that leads or guides, or what is leadership? And it's been described as a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and the support of others in the accomplishment of a task. So of course I described her perfectly, because she's that plus a million characteristics that we've all heard today. If we could only live life the way Lanie lived. I hope to try now. Maybe that's why this happened, is so that we can live lives better, appreciate each other better, be more tolerant of each other. She led by example. She pushed everyone around on the field. Not like that. She pushed. Seriously, not that way. She led the field hockey team to our first, as you know, we're a little small school competing with these big guys. I have some support from my colleague, coaching people. That means a lot too. So we're competing against these big guys, and Lanie was part of that first group that brought us to the state championship first time. That's big. As an underclassman, then voted captain all 3 years, as her senior year, in all 3 sports, basketball, soccer, and field hockey, and accomplishments. I won't give you all those, or I could be up here for hours. And I'll also piggyback on the Harry Potter thing. Being the avid reader that I am, watch it. Maybe by the 3rd book, Harry Potter, everything. Lanie's a Harry Potter person. It's almost like I think she wrote the book herself, and other lady took credit for it. But she said, Hawkins, she comes to my office and says, Hawkins, did you read the first book yet? I said, what do you think the answer is, Lanie? Of course I read the first book. No. I said, no. I said, but I just finished reading another book. Did you read White Oleander? She said, no. So I said, okay, you read that, I'll read Harry Potter. So otherwise I probably would still say, no, I haven't read Harry Potter. So again, she's pushing and then making other people do things that you wouldn't normally do. And then lastly, her recent love for, well, always cooking. And I was excited when she got accepted to culinary school. I'm not sure her parents were as excited, but I was really excited because she would make samples and bring it in. And, you know, I sampled everything Lanie cooked, and it was great, especially homemade lavender ice cream last fall. She froze it the night before and then rode her bike to practice with it in a little plastic cup, and it never melted, and said, Hawkins, I made you some ice cream. So when she got accepted, she smiled so big, bigger than that almost as excited as she was when she told Coach Bear and I that she had a boyfriend, Daniel. She was so excited about him and the things that they were doing. Then she said, well, Hawkins, do you think I can help coach? Absolutely, you can help me coach anytime. So she started coaching my summer camp. Some of the girls that are here either had her there or had the opportunity to get coached by her last year and this year. And it was nice because Coach Bear and I get just a little bit excited on the sideline sometimes. Just a little. And if you know Lanie, she'd say, Hawkins, it's okay. It's going to be okay, they're going to be fine. The next thing we know, scored 3 goals and we win. But I think most importantly, when she decided she was going to coach, and the girls will probably appreciate this, a couple of the girls that were pretty quick decided the first day of practice we'd do pretty much the same thing. We do a long run for time, and then at the end we sprint, their favorite. And Lanie said, Hawkins, I really need to get a workout in and think I could join them. I said, absolutely, sure you can join them. So we run, and she beats every single one of them by me to the other parking lot down there. Then in the sprint, she beats them again. Am I telling the truth? That's right, I am. And then we're cleaning up after practice, and Coach Bear, Hawkins, guess what? I beat their butts. I said, that's right, you did, Lanie. You still got it. It just is a little bit. I could go on for hours. because that's the kind of person that she is, and that's the kind of person the family is that I know. They're special. They're kind, they're giving, they're caring and loving, and they do anything for you. So much that I was important enough that I got a phone call pretty early in the morning to let me know the news. I apologize for the verbiage I used because I don't think it was very nice, but I was mad. I was so mad. It's okay, she wouldn't want me to be mad. So this year, one of her teammates wrote a very kind and loving poem that maybe some of you have seen or have read, but I'd like to end with that. Lanie, there are no words, not much to say to explain how or why this happened that day. Every morning on the field to coach the sport she loved, her dedication second to none, the passion we all dream of. She laughed, she joked, she had some fun. The girls never strayed too far from this young girl with eyes that glowed like a not so far distant star. Her face, her grin, her ponytail, her bike against the fence, her soft words of encouragement, we'll surely miss them hence. They're gone too soon, so suddenly, known only for a while. We will look back and remember you fondly, our Lanie, the unforgettable smile. Yeah, Coach Bear and I put together something to give to the family. Bear, can you read the plaque at the bottom? Love assistant coaches. They're the best, right? It says Lanie Kruszewski, class of 2006, forever a dragon. We thought because I think it's time for open remarks, I was just going to take the mic around, or a lot of people, I could whistle and then everybody could start spreading and then we'd be in shape and ready to get that little guy. Okay, so.
What I think we ought to do, we talked about a little bit before, is that if someone, as Paige said, anyone that would like to make remarks, you have two choices. You come up here and get in front of the mic, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, Paige will have a walk-around mic, and you can just stand and say your feelings, give your feelings right from your seat. We would ask, not just I, but all, is that wherever you may be, turn and face the biggest part of the crowd, okay? Because sometimes it's hard to hear with the acoustics and such. All righty? Who wants to be the first one? Here we go.
I'm actually going to be a little long-winded here because once I started writing something, I realized I was hard pressed to find someone that would be so easy to write just wonderful, wonderful things about. I've known Lanie for 10 years now. We met our freshman year at Maggie Walker, actually, probably in this very room. But to be honest, I can't really recall the first meeting with her, just because once Lanie's your friend, it feels like you've been friends forever. Actually, in talking with Daniel this past week, he clued me into something that I always took for granted about her, just because she made it so effortless. upon meeting someone, Lanie, within the first conversation, could hone in on exactly what they loved in life, and then have this amazing ability to just add to that portion of their lives, be it by making an amazing homemade baked good or giving the perfect book recommendation. Our friend Catherine Schmitz and the rest of the basketball girls actually, I forget if it was freshman year or sophomore year, but they set us up on a blind date of sorts over Valentine's Day. We were dropped off at the fine establishment El Paso, and then went to go see the romantic cinematic classic, You Got Served. For those of you not familiar with the film, it's about breakdancing battles where the line is actually uttered, "You suckers just got served." For some reason that didn't work out, and that night really cemented our friendship just through talking, and it was a friendship that continued to grow through junior prom and our trip to Italy. And by graduation, I was just so happy to have a friendship that I knew was just going to last a lifetime. That's why when she was accepted to culinary school and went up to New York, I wasn't scared of all that losing touch, just because as soon as she came home, we always would meet up first thing, talk for about an hour, and just be right back where we were. I remember one time in particular where she came over to my house and I immediately grabbed her by the arm, went outside, and just walked for an hour. And this was during a party that I was supposed to be hosting. But as soon as she walked in the door, there was no one else I wanted to talk to. And I just went out there and we were right back where we were, and it was just great to have that over and over again. And that's why it was such a blessing having her back in Richmond for this past year. And just the chance to see her just be really, really happy. This past year was really good for her. And that's been both probably the hardest part of all this and the best part, just because I know how content she was, and it seemed like I knew her life was going to get better, but it seemed pretty hard at the moment that it would, just because she was just on top. Life just really won't be the same without her. Every day will go by not as bright. But I'm really not worried about truly missing her, because I know she'll be a part of my life daily, and I'll think about her all the time. Every time I have bacon in many of its numerous forms, which I had no idea until she started introducing me to chocolate-covered bacon, bacon wrapped in bacon, on and on. I think of her every time I lock myself out of my house, and my first instinct is to just try just a little more. And it hasn't worked yet, but her and I are both pretty confident that just one of these days it's gonna happen. I think of her every time I'm hesitant to try a new food, and I'll just picture her face there, just smiling, just like, "Come on, Kevin, just try it. You're gonna love it. Just put it in your mouth. Just do it. It's gonna be good." She was always right when she did that. I think of her every time I see just someone running down the street, and all I can think is, look at those legs. Lanie's legs were just, like, incredible. Like, I always maintain that the world would just be a happier, better place if everyone had legs that looked like Lanie's. I think of her every time I wake up in an unfamiliar place and I have a million questions about the night before. That one might just be specific to me though, and Jenny. And I see a couple other people nodding, so I'll talk to you later. I want to hear those stories. And mostly, I think of Lanie every time I look outside and it's a beautiful day and I decide to get off my ass, go out there and take advantage of it and truly enjoy it. Because I know she wouldn't have let it go to waste. And that's what I really want everyone to take away from having known Lanie, is just her incredible zest for life and the absolute abandon with which she attacked each and every single day. She was just really, simply inspiring to be around, and I really, really miss her.
I hope I'm not out of place what I'm about to say here. This young man right here I'm 64 years old. been around a block a time or two. And I've been in coaching for over 40 of those years. And this young man right here, Kevin, he wrote a note, a letter to the family, to Patty, the other night that was phenomenal. If each one of us had what this young man has, and you saw this presentation that he had then, it was a little less comical than maybe today. But that's also who Lanie is. Lanie brings out that in you. You did a tremendous job, young man. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to? Paige is up there. You don't have to come up here like Kevin did. You can speak from where you are. Paige, here's someone right here.
My name is Mike Heineman, and I am the general manager of Osaka Sushi, and I was Lanie's employer, and I wasn't planning on speaking today, so if you'll forgive me for being a little nervous, but I just wanted to say that she was with us for a very short time, but I think I can say for all of us that we're all very much better for having known her, and very much feel the loss. And we wish that she could have spent a lot more time with us, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Bacon seems to be the theme today. She and Daniel had made some pancetta, an Italian bacon, a couple different styles that we were talking about a week ago, and I had asked her for some. And of course, she looked at me and she said, "What's in it for me?" So I said, "I'll take it home and I'll make some carbonara out of it, and I'll split it in half, and I'll give it to you." And of course, I didn't get around to it. And Saturday, it was about an hour before work, and I was rummaging through the fridge, and I saw the pancetta. Well, she's going to get mad at me, so I better just do this now and get it over with. And I brought it in and gave it to her, and fortunately, she actually liked it. So that was really our last substantial interaction, other than what we did during the normal course of the evening. And then I remember Sunday being home, it was my day off, and looking at that last piece of pancetta and saying, well, I'll finish this one off maybe Wednesday or Thursday when she comes back to work. And unfortunately, that won't be able to do that, but I'm going to save that little piece of pancetta for a little special occasion at some point, just to remember her by. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and again, I wish everybody here the best, and hope that you're able to heal in a relatively short period of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would there be anyone else? I thought I saw somebody. Yes. Paige. Thank you. You're not as fast as Lanie.
Well, I'm Michelle Surratt, and I had the privilege of being Lanie's 11th grade English teacher. And she did light up our class, definitely. She and her sidekick, Alyssa, who were a little bit mischievous and always kept us on our toes. But they also brought heartbreaking work of staggering genius to our class, and I included it because I read it and it was awesome. So I felt like she's been with me this whole week after I found out, coaching me to own my gifts and to make sure I get them out in the world, and I think that's what she'd want us all to know. And I have a poem which I've said before, it just so conveniently comes to my head that I want to recite it. It's from the Tao. And so I'm going to say that now from Lao Tzu. And of course it says a man at his best, but we'll change it to a woman at her best. So this is for all my Maggie Walker family and extended family, and for the Kruszewski family. Woman at her best, like water, serves as she goes along. Like water, she seeks her own level, the common level of life. Loves living close to the earth, living clear down in her heart. Loves kinship with her neighbors, the pick of words that tell the truth, the even tenor of the well-loved state, the fair profit of the able dealing, the right timing of useful deeds, and for blocking no one's way. No one blames her. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? You're stuck with me next, so speak now. Here's one. There's somebody in the back there, Paige.
Good afternoon. I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with Lanie, but all the interactions that I've had with her were always positive, always a little fun and things. I did have a few classes with her, but the times that I'll remember most would be the times outside, in the hallway, outside the wrestling room, outside of Coach Waldron's hallway. Sometimes we would sit and talk when I happened to get ready for wrestling on time or early, and she would be waiting to get to whatever sport she was doing. And I always remember that one day, she pretty much had seen me giving piggyback rides during the wrestling practice to Mr. Glenn. I know I saw him in here earlier. But yeah, she always wanted to know what that was like, so one day she was just like, "Look, can you give me a piggyback ride before wrestling practice?" And so she hops up, and I go running around the building a couple of times, and it's just the type of person she was, always going after that sensitive nature. And that's the one thing I will remember about her.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay.
Hi, everyone. I coached Lanie when I was coaching her at Maggie Walker. She was an amazing soccer player. And just a couple things I wanted to say. She loved her sisters and her mother so much. And about her kindness, she was so kind, and she always made you feel good. I would make cookies, and I'm not an expert baker at all. But when I made cookies, she would just tell me that they were the best things she had ever had in her entire life. And she made you feel good. And she worked so hard. She always practiced. She knew that practice and hard work really did matter. And she was a fine young lady.
Paige, right on down here. You're going downhill, so you're okay.
Hi, I represent a small group of people that knew Lanie from Edible Garden. Sarah to my right. Loretta, are you here? You stand up. Ed is here also. We worked with Lanie for a while at Edible Garden. Me, very short time. It was my internship through culinary school there, and I wasn't going to speak until Kevin said something, and it made me want to stand up. She did. She had the ability to pull out of you the best in you. And it was so hard. Anyway, when I was doing my internship at Edible Garden, I spoke to Lanie about what my life plans were as far as culinary goes, and she just honed in on that and said that was just a great idea, and it just made me feel so good. And then my daughter started JMU the following fall, and nervous mother here, and cried all the way back to Richmond from Harrisonburg. But Lanie was like, oh, she's going to love JMU, and she just made me feel so much better about JMU. And I never have worked with anybody who's always been in the greatest moods, and she was. She was always happy to work, and that's hard to do in the restaurant business, I'm sure that we can all speak to. So I appreciate the chance to get to know her, even though it was for such a very short time.
Thank you. Is there any Paige? There's a lady right there, right there.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I was Lanie's roommate for 2 years at JMU. Allie's right over there. We were all roommates together. I met Lanie at a Halloween party. I don't know how many of you have ever been to JMU, but we have a little bit of a reputation. And Halloween was Lanie's favorite holiday. It was our freshman year. I was with my brother, who was 2 years older than me, and Allie was there because Allie and Lanie were roommates freshman year. Okay, so there were girls that were scantily clad, I'll put it that way. And then there is Lanie, standing by the beer, getting beer in a comet costume. She was dressed up as a comet in a box that was painted black, you know, with streamers coming off of it, and Allie was a dinosaur. So they were coordinated, if you will. And I was thoroughly impressed because, like, I myself, I didn't really run with that, the crowd that was scantily clad. I was, in an 80s outfit, I think. And I don't know, I just looked at her and I was like, man, she's a cool person. And I guess my other, I think I posted this on Facebook, my other first interaction with her was actually very random and on accident. She was taking an exam with my section of my history class. And so, I didn't know who she was. It was just our final exam. And we were the last two to finish. And I walked up and handed my exam in, and Lanie was right after me, I think. And we ended up talking to the professor for almost 30 minutes after we finished. And she just said, because this professor was really awesome. We both really liked her. She was kind of a smartass, very witty, and just very, she made sure you knew your stuff. And so we just stood there talking to her, and at the end she just said, you guys are two of the best students I've had here at JMU. I've been teaching a long time, but you guys are some of the best. And I have to say, her teacher already spoke, but I think all of her teachers and professors would say the same thing about her.
Thank you. Paige, and there's someone over here.
Hi, I worked with Lanie at Dave's downtown in Harrisonburg and went to JMU as well. I didn't really know her as a JMU student, but I do have one story about her. For all the happiness that everyone has talked about with Lanie, I actually, unfortunately, got to see her very upset once, and it was graduation weekend of her graduation, and she got scheduled 3 doubles in a row. One of them was the Friday before, which she had really planned on hanging out with her friends and family. And I've never actually seen Lanie so upset, but she was crying, and I'd never seen someone work so hard either, and if anyone deserved to have that time off, it was her. And I didn't get scheduled that day, and I took both of her shifts, switch work back to back, open to 5 and 5 to close. And she gave me a huge hug and thanked me, and I just remember feeling so lucky that Lanie was thanking me. So I just wanted to share that with her. She was a great worker. She didn't work there for a hugely long amount of time, but it was enough to make an impression on all of us. And we were all very saddened to find out the news of her passing this week. And John was actually her manager, and we came here today to just represent all of her friends that she had at Dave's downtown, and some back at JMU as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Audra. I'm at Lanie King Middle School. We played Manchester soccer together, and we played on the travel team with Polka Shop. And I remember the first time I met her, we were trying out for the team, and it was after tryouts, and she came up to me, and I remember her being super tall as I'm sitting on the ground looking up at her, and she was telling me, I'm afraid that I'm not going to make the team, so I told Coach that I would play goalie if he would keep me. And I looked up at her and I said, you must be crazy. And our relationship kind of took off after that. One of my favorite memories is when I was spending the night at her house. We had this grandiose idea that I was going to teach her to dance, and she was going to teach me to play basketball. It didn't work out very well. And somehow we made it from basketball and dance to food and Elvis. And she had carrots and peanut butter. And she told me one day that she wanted to be reincarnated as Elvis. And she dipped the carrot in the peanut butter and made his hair all spiky. And I said, well, you know what, I hope that happens for you one day. So I just felt like I would share that. Her love for food and her imagination really inspired me.
All right, thank you for all your, I don't see anything. Yes, I'm sorry, excuse me. Page is turn. Page right in the back there. You need to come to Paige, that's what she's telling you.
Hi, my name is Brittany. I was one of Lanie's basketball teammates. And I just remember one story. There were so many stories with Lanie, but I remember one. We had just lost, probably about like 30 points, you know. It's okay. But I was a little down, and I was like, oh God, 30 points is so much. We're so bad. And she was like, Brittany, don't be down. We play them again, and we'll beat them by 30, and we'll win. And I was like, I looked at her as if to say, Lanie, do you really believe that? And she was like, no, we'll probably lose by 40, but you know, we have a basketball sleepover in 2 hours, and we're gonna go on a scavenger hunt, and we have breakfast at the 3rd Street Diner, and you know, it just speaks a lot about how Lanie lived her life. You can't really dwell on too much because in the near future, there'll be happiness, and you'll laugh. And I have so many memories with Lanie and my teammates. And I just want to say thank you, Lanie, and we miss you.
Thank you.
My name's Cashel, and I also played with Lanie on the basketball team. And I kind of have two memories that I come back to often, and even before I knew this happened. One was when we would be on the bench, you know, as bench players, we would chant, crew, chef, Kruszewski, and I don't know why. I was like, why are we doing this? But I always kind of think about that, and it was like a fond memory of Lanie that I had. And then another was just kind of talking with her in the hallway, and this was probably my first year. She was getting ready for field hockey season, and the serious athlete, I knew she was serious, but she said, okay, I've cut out all soda before field hockey season for like 6 weeks or so, because I know it'll affect me on the field. And I was like, are you serious? Like, we're in high school, how can you not have soda? And so, I mean, to me, it was like, oh, okay, Lanie, all right. But, and she, as a young athlete, I really did look up to her, and as many of my other teammates, for their dedication that they put into all of their sports, and especially basketball in particular, when we weren't very good, we weren't like a winning team, but I really did look up to her and her dedication and her commitment to her sport and her teammates. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Paige is just in the back.
No, but Michelle said she didn't have the soda. Happy about that.
I didn't know Lanie that well. I worked with Daniel, and I just made for coming in and hanging out and waiting for Dan to get on board and hang on the computer upstairs. We had an opportunity to hire Lanie, and Daniel encouraged us to do it. It's like we made a huge mistake by not doing that. But clearly she has an impact on the community. And when I got word of what had happened, the very first thing that I did was I called up all my immediate family. I told them I love them. And I think maybe that's what we all can take from this, is she's brought us all together in some way, and that we can kind of share our love with one another and carry that with us. And I mean, come on, it smells amazing. You can feel it radiating through the room. And I talked to Mary when I came in, and she's like, I'm so excited about this to be in a room that people are loving and sharing. And that's really all I want to share with everybody, is just take this opportunity to love one another and smile at the memories that we have, and to be joyful and happy.
Paige, I believe somebody brought. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't back there.
Hi, I'm Jen Paul. I knew Lanie for many years. We went to high school together, went to middle school together. We joined the varsity soccer team our freshman year together and played field hockey together. Just wonderful. I love her so much. And there's one story, I have a million stories with Lanie. We went to Italy together, got into all sorts of trouble. All sorts of trouble. But there's one story that I want to tell that I think is appropriate in telling, it's not appropriate, but I'm going to tell it. So, Lanie, it was when she was cooking to eventually be part of this cooking competition that she would take place in. And so she was making this phenomenal food every day and bringing it to school. And she was like, I've been trying to hone this pumpkin ravioli recipe that she was taking to this cooking competition. So she made this wonderful food every day and would bring it in. And we kept all of our lunches in the locker room. This is crucial. So every day we get together for lunch and she's sharing ravioli, and every day she's saying, some of my ravioli's missing. Every day. Some of my strawberries are missing. And she's making these wonderful, wonderful meals. And I'm like, Lanie, like, I know you're eating those lunches in the morning, just tell me that. And she's like, no, I swear, someone's stealing these lunches. So she gets so adamant about this that we put a camera in the locker room. Sorry. I don't know if I'm gonna be, I'm sorry. It's really not in a pervy way. So Lanie cooks this phenomenal meal, which is bacon. And so she makes this whole meal with like the freshest pastas, the freshest fruits and vegetables, and she puts it in all clear containers. And she lays it out on the floor, and we put the camera so you can only see the meal. And we turn the camera on. And so we have this video then that's, you know, a school days long, and we get together after school and we go into the wrestling room, and we watch this video, and we just watch it and watch it and watch it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet it's a freshman. Like, let's get this freshman, let's haze him. And Lanie's like, calm down, calm down. And so, like, 5 hours into this, you just see someone come by, lower down, stand up, pick up the lunch, and leave. And you don't see any face, you don't see anything. And so we like did some research, looked at a bunch of shoes that day, figured out who it was. No. And I'm like, let's find this person, let's beat him up. And Lanie's just like, no, I'll just make more in the future. And so this just goes to show you, like, Lanie is wonderful, and this is, I think, a really good example of how she just thinks different from the rest of us. And in a situation when someone's taken my food, I want justice. She wants to share. And I just think that we need a lot more of that in the world.
Paige, one, with all the time stuff, one more, okay?
So for our field hockey team on Friday mornings, we have practice, and one Thursday game, varsity had won, so they got to go to the dairy bar for breakfast. So then our JV game, we lost. So we're like, oh, well, are we still having practice? Varsity's not going to be there. And she was like, yeah, we're having practice, of course we are. So she was there on Friday morning, energetic as always. You know, it was like 7 a.m. But then after practice, she knew how upset we all were about not getting to go to breakfast and that we had to be there running and playing, and so she made us all pumpkin pancakes, and I remember that just made my day because she was like caring enough and recognized how upset we were about losing and having to go to practice the next day, but it just made us all feel better and keep trying for it. And she just always encouraged us with kindness and stuff like that.
I think all these remarks, you realize who we're dealing with. I'm going to change my closing remarks a little bit. I'm going to cut a little bit shorter because there are some other things that have to go on. But, and I know some people are standing for a long time. But this is a remarkable young lady. And all these stories, some of my closing remarks were covered in one way or another by some of these stories and stuff. I will say a couple of things, and then we'll get on with the music in the program and the slideshow. Okay. Lanie was the type of kid, she'd walk in a room, the whole room lights up. You got to remember now, when I first met Lanie, I was almost 60 years old, and I've been coaching for a long time, and I know I don't have a tremendous sense of humor. And I am somewhat, and purposely so, I try to be somewhat intimidating. And when you're dealing with 18 to 24-year-old football players, you're not exactly going to be their best friend. So other than my daughter, this young lady comes along who has more nerve and says more things to me that I've never let a young lady or a young man get away with. All right? She, and many of you have alluded to this, but she and her mother and Leah, they put together 60 things we love about Kat. I can't tell you about some of these, all right? They're pretty pointed, so to speak. But she was so perceptive and so smart that she could read you right to the core. I have a saying about, your eyes lead to your soul. And I judge most people by their eyes. And this girl's eyes were alive. She was quite a person. I've checked with Patty on a couple of stories. I am going to tell one story. I suffer from some skin cancer. They've taken a chunk out of my nose, and I actually let UVA people take a chunk out of my right ear. Well, Patty came up with some stuff to show me, or some presents, so to speak. Well, Lanie was home. And as we've all referred to her love of food and cooking, she just didn't bake cookies, okay? She baked ear cookies, okay? Little ones, big ones. And as you well know, when I was a kid, I was called Radar for a reason. So, and I had a chunk taken out of my ear, and I'll never forget, she said, symmetry is overrated. You know? And only she would be smart enough to say that. And then two, have enough nerve to get away with it. And then the second story, I was down recruiting in August and putting on a clinic. And I called up Patty and I said, look, tomorrow morning I'll take you and Lanie, pardon me, to the farmer's market, okay, as a treat. And I said, I'll spring for all the vegetables that young girl wants to buy, okay? I had no idea what I was in for. I stood in the middle of the farmer's market, and I'm not one to make a lot of farmer's market, and there's booths all around. Well, I sort of stood in the middle and watched Patty and Lanie go around. Well, this kid, I have 5 grandchildren. They come down the Christmas tree. You know how they come down the stairs, they bounce around, they go here, they go there, they're on control, all right? That's how she was. I've never seen anybody get fired up over squash, all right? So, I mean, she went from here to there, and there was nothing pretentious or phony about it. I mean, she had this tremendous love. She wrote me a thank you note one time for something, and she put in 7 different recipes of Asian food, all right? The only way I'm going to get near that Asian food is if she cooks it, all right? And there was a reference to bacon, like everybody else here has made a reference. This is a remarkable lady. That's why you're all here. Look around. Look at the different people here. This is a tremendous, she was a tremendous person. And acorns don't fall far from the tree. With her mother and her sisters, they did a good job that way. Now, I'm going to read, we have some sections, but I am going to take this time, and I know we're a little bit behind, but I want this to be read, okay? And since I got the mic, I sort of have control here, I guess. But this poem is written, it's an excerpt from a poem by Henry Scott Holland. It was written around the turn of the century, all right? And the viewpoint is of a person who has left this world, but is still with us. If I have to pause here a little bit, just hang with me, okay? Death is nothing at all. I have slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in tone. Wear no forced air of sorrow. Laugh as we've always laughed, at the little jokes we've enjoyed together. Pray, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without trace of shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is an unbroken continuity. What is death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am waiting for you for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. I think this applies to this young lady. Thank you for bearing with me. We have 2 selections that'll be coming up. The first one is Hallelujah, and they make their way up here. And then when the second selection, I do want to make a little introduction to that song, and then Paige, we're sort of working in concert here. She'll get our slide show in motion during that song. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Allison Mills Steele. This is Samson Trin. I had a brief time with Lanie and Daniel, but I have a fond memory of a party that I went to at their house. And I had never been there before, and they were having a cooking party. And Samson invited me, and when I came in, I can't quite describe the joy that was just sort of teeming in the room. It was coming from the kitchen, and it was coming from the living room. And I know that a lot of us have talked about Lanie's love for cooking. And one thing that I noticed, having never been with these people before that night, was that there was so much music in the room as well. And I had a wonderful time. I thought perhaps I might be in heaven. There were beautiful, happy people in the kitchen bringing me delicious treats. And there were lovely people in the living room waiting for that and sharing music together. There were some people even dancing. So we're very honored to be paying homage to Lanie through one of her favorites, Leonard Cohen. And please forgive me if any of you know me. And Lanie and I might have had something like this in common. I'm a very forgetful person. Thank you, John. Okay, here we go. This is for you, Lanie. You'll have to forgive me, I'm a little nervous. Sorry. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? Goes like this, for the fifth, minor fall and the major lift, baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Faith was strong, but she needed proof. Saw her bathing on the roof. Beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to the kitchen chair. She broke your throne, she cut your hair. From your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before. Know this room when I walk this floor. Used to live alone before I knew you. See your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Wasn't the time when you let me know it's really going on below. You'll never show it to me, do you? Remember when I moved in you, Holy Ghost was moving too. Every breath we drew was hallelujah. 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 Maybe there's a God above. All I've ever learned from love is how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. Not a cry you can hear at night, not someone who's seen the light. Cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Say I took the name in vain. Don't even know the name. If I did, well, really, what's it to you? It's a blast of light in every word. Doesn't matter what you heard. A holy or broken hallelujah. 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 Did my best, it wasn't much. Couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. Even though it all went wrong, stand before the Lord of song. Nothing on my lips but hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
page 103. Our last selection will be sung by Mary. I'm sorry, I should say Mary's whole name again. All right, Mary Bubba Eggleston. And she's going to sing "Do You Realize" by the Flaming Lips. Now, Daniel, I asked Daniel about this, and he and Lanie listened to this album last Saturday night, and the album ends with the words, "You and me were never meant to be part of the future. All we have is now." And Lanie wanted the end of the album. She thought the end of the album should end with this song that Mary's about to sing. Okay? "Do You Realize" by the Flaming Lips. And during this song, Paige is going to work the slideshow. Okay? Thank you.
At a time like this, words escape me. And music's all I have. And I want to really thank Allison Sampson for that. Lanie, this is for you, sweetheart.
You realize
Thank you, Mary. We come to the end here, and when you leave, you just think about this incredible young lady, her mother, her sisters, and many of the items that were talked about and the experiences, everything. You can embody those pictures, the words. Just remember all those good things as you leave. Tim is going to, Patty and the girls will leave at this time, and then as we go out, they're going to sort of set up there, so as you leave and continue parking area, whatever, you can say hi or whatever. I know there's, in your program, there's I would be remiss if I don't talk about, there's a group bike ride, okay, on Sunday evening. And I know there's, if certain people, you know, if you're going to be able to go by the house, you know, you can see Patty then. If not, you can wave or say something to the girls on your way out the door. I do have, when they please drive safely, and I know the parking lot in the area is congested, so have plenty of give and take so that you leave. All right? Thank you all for coming. Be safe. Good night.